it's dynamo and them texts.
What is going on, everybody? It's another episode, Just Fan Podcast. My friend Rio's in the house. What's up, Rios?
Let's start off by saying a small prayer. I need 20 more points to win the Super Bowl, so pray
It's
for
not-
me and pray for Jameer Gibbs.
It's not happening, bro. It's not happening. You shut the bed. And Carlos is pussy in the house. Everybody say hello to, what's his name? Again, her name?
Gracie.
What's her name?
Gracie.
Crazy.
Gracie.
Okay.
Nobody cares. And our boy, the Houston Stressans, and our guest today, Carlos, he got deported finally. He's not coming back. They finally got him.
Took them long enough.
But our boy Houston Stressans, thank you guys. Thank you for coming back on the show, talking some Texans with us.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It's been a while, and I always forget how good that intro song is, man. I love that.
Dude, it's fire. It's fire.
Yeah,
Every time I listen to it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it got me hyped, man.
How was y'all's Christmas before we get into any football talk?
It was great, man. I got to spend time with my family. My mom, made sure I ate, double my body weight in food. So it was...
That's the best type of Christmas right there.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I got two little girls. They both got plenty of gifts, and saw a lot of family, and it was a good time. How about you?
Same here. My parents are home. I got to see my sister and all my siblings, so it was pretty good. Carlos had the wedding like a few days before that, so that was real cool.
Yeah, him being out of the country, it lifted a weight off my shoulders, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, when he said he was coming back in 10 days, I'm like, bro, you deserve to go, like, take a whole year. Fuck it.
A couple years. Take the next decade.
But it's good. We are filming here we're live on the 30th tomorrow, New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day. We want to try to start the year strong. Sad times for the Texans, though. And we're going to get into it here in a second. But I want to get your thoughts, brother, because me, Rios, and Carlos, we've been talking about it. It feels like every game is just worse than the last.
Lamentations.
Every now and again, like, you got a player that has a standout game and stuff like that, but overall, it seems like we're regressing. Beginning of the year, the defense was holding it together. Joe Mixon was carrying, like, a lot of the reason why we have a winning record. You could argue Joe Mixon is responsible for at least 4 of those wins, carrying this offense. And then about the time where they finally started making some changes on the O-line, it felt like the running game fell off. It felt like the defense was the only good thing about it. And then, you go into a Chiefs game, into a Baltimore game, and you're just like, what are we even doing here? So give me your thoughts, man. Like, what are your thoughts on this whole Texans?
Well, I'll start on the Chiefs game. If we hadn't lost Tank Dell and Jimmy Ward, I would have walked away feeling pretty good, because it was a 1-score game. It was a 8-point game. And, like, you hate to say it, but in that game, the refs were just absolutely terrible. So
yeah.
I would have walked away if those injuries wouldn't have happened. I would have been feeling pretty good. But then you fast forward just 3-4 days later on Christmas, and I say blessing or stressing. I was big stressing. Like, it ruined my Christmas. I was depressing. I was depressed. Because for me, it's like, yeah. For me though, like, I looked at this gauntlet, this 3 games in 11 days against 3 top teams in the AFC, especially the way our season had went. I was looking at it, for me personally, as like for the Texans to prove to me and us and to the rest of the nation that we are contenders and not pretenders, and it didn't work out that way. So that's where I was, like, even the Ravens game, like, I obviously wanted us to win, but even if we didn't win, I still would have felt happy. It was a competitive game.
Yeah,
it was just the way we lost. We scored no points on offense. We had defense outscored the offense, and yeah, it was terrible. And then I'm one of the more positive fans there are, I think, and I try to find like the silver lining in most things, and it was hard for me to do so. But a couple of days removed, I don't feel as bad, but it definitely looks bleak. I was confident we could make a run the playoffs. There's still a chance, but after that Ravens game, it's about as low as I've been all year for sure.
I was blacked out drunk by the third quarter. It was that bad. It ruined my Christmas.
I couldn't even finish the game myself, man. Like, it was like, what, 17-0 or 17 to
No, it was
2,
17-2.
Safety.
17 to 2. And I was just like, why am I watching football right now? Like, I feel like I'm wasting my day right now. Like, this is just so, because coming out of the Chiefs game, to me, I felt like that was a low one because, we've had some really bad losses in the year, like the Vikings loss, the one against Green Bay, which I thought we should have won,
The
the
Lions,
Lions, which I really thought we should have won,
the Titans.
and like it felt like a lot of it was us digging a hole,
Shitting themselves in the foot, basically.
able to come out of it. Like that Chiefs game, like you said, like the refs didn't help us at all, and it was upper hill like the whole game. And I was like, man, like even when we're not necessarily playing bad, it's just like we just can't get it going. And then that Baltimore game was the final nail in the coffin for me. I was like, yeah, we are definitely not where we need to be. We looking at this team last year, then take away all the injuries. I'm pretty sure that Baltimore game, even if we have Dell, even if we have Ward, even if we have Diggs,
Oh yeah.
I don't think that game goes our way regardless, right? Maybe a little bit more competitive. Maybe we score some points, but
The Chiefs game, that's winnable if Tank Dell didn't get hurt because he had finally found his stride.
he found the end zone in that play, right? And it was after that when he got carried out that kind of like the momentum completely shift.
That was the worst part about that was like it took us all year to get Tank Dell involved, and we finally do. He messes up his knee,
Yeah, and on the uncertainty of the injury itself, it felt like it was like hanging on everybody's mind. Yeah, it wasn't until like a day or two later when we found out it's not just ACL, it's MCL, it's the kneecap, is
the knee.
Everything,
like everything from the thigh down, gone. Like,
and they're compared it to Teddy Bridgewater's injury, and that like he could have lost his life, like Teddy Bridgewater, because of artery damage. And I think when they took him to the hospital, that was the main concern with Tank, just to make sure that there was no artery damage, because you could lose your life over that.
Yeah,
it was pretty scary for a little bit. I know there was criticism for the reactions, but I mean, when you consider that and just him, how close he was with CJ. Yeah. And then, like, you hate to say it too, but like, and we should say it shouldn't be this way, but it still might have had an effect on CJ, like, because he looked out of it in that Baltimore game, like, that quick turnaround, he didn't even have time to process it, like, and then there's concerns about him being injured. I mean, in my opinion, that was the worst game I've seen him play his entire career, probably including college. I haven't watched all of his games, but that's the worst I've seen him play.
Yeah.
So that was concerning, but I do think that game in itself, the Ravens, I thought before early in the year were actually a good matchup for us because their secondary was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of turned that around recently. I think it's out of all the playoff teams remaining in the future, I think the Ravens are the toughest matchup for us. And they basically just do it by dominating us in the trenches on both sides. So that is like the silver lining I took away, is if you just think about it, maybe it's just because bad matchup, and I'm trying to think positive. We play this team, that team, like we just hung in there with the Chiefs. So, and and they say it's a loss is a loss. So, you try and wash your hands with it and see what's next.
Yeah. So we got some comments here. Hello, Big Palooka. Our boy Carlos is telling you to shut up, which is not very nice, Carlos.
Carlos, Jesus. Congrats, man.
Go back to Mexico. Boy Daniel, what's up, our boy?
Oh,
we got Cole Spaghetti here. Needs a TD from Gibbs for a W.
I need like 2 or 3.
You need to get him a microwave. Warm that up, man.
And then going back to what we were saying, man, D'Amico has a conversation with Slowick. Dude, this offense, and we've been saying it all year, lackluster at best, non-existent at worst. And that Baltimore game, like I said, like to me, that was the ending of the Texans season. Regardless of what happens in the playoffs, because I don't think, hell, the way we're playing, I don't think we're coming out of the first round. Even if we do, whoever we face in the second round, we're getting bounced. I don't think there's any way around it. I feel like the Texans season ended on that Baltimore game. And right now, I'm just trying to look into the future. Like, okay, what does the offseason look like? What are the injuries? Like, people coming back? What's the Diggs situation? Are we going to fix the O-line? Hell, is Slowick still going to be a part of this coaching staff when it's all said and done for next season? So it's just one of those things where, like, is the Miko, and I hate to put it on him, right? But you see every single press conference after every single game. CJ going into the podium. Oh, I'm taking full responsibility. I need to play better. I need to play better, brother. You can only say that. Like maybe the first 3 times when you said it, I was like, yeah, you need to get on it. We're behind you. After the 7th, 8th time, I'm like, brother,
week 17. Like,
what is it? And then the Miko, same way, right? He's like, oh, we need to play better. We need to play harder. We need to be more consistent. The O-line needs to do his job. The secondary needs to do his job. I'm like, okay, we're going on to week 18 now, and it seems like every week we're getting worse. So what is it can't just be the injuries, because even when the season started and we were like relatively healthy, even when we were winning, there weren't pretty wins.
Well, there's a couple things. It'll sound like excuse making, but we had an extra game with the Hall of Fame game. We started the earliest, and then we had the latest bye. So I mean, even if our starters didn't play in the preseason, like just the mental toll on the players and coaches going that long. Because the NFL week is like, imagine how it is like for us as like fans and content creators, like consuming content, but like think about them preparing for games, like,
True,
recapping and then flipping around and getting ready for another game. So I think that's part of it too. Outside of the Chiefs game, which I thought wasn't as bad, we did have some good games in there where we showed some promise. I know the Titans loss was bad, but it's been an up and down year. But, I'm hoping like the flip side of this too, of like on the back end of this, 3 games in 11 days, is we had a mini bye now, essentially from playing on Wednesday and now not till Sunday. And then going into this game, it sounds like it's going to be treated like a preseason game. So, you expect maybe your starters to play half of the game, which is almost another bye. So it'll be good in that sense for them to reset and refresh. But to your point about Slowick, I was like defending him all year until about just over halfway. And then I started to criticize him. And I go back and forth. I don't know if they will fire him, but I do get frustrated with him. I'm not quite as outraged as most people, but there's definitely, all the stuff that we all know, we all see, can be pretty frustrating. But it's just the offense as a whole. It's not just one thing. It's, pretty much every player, from CJ Stroud to every receiver, every lineman, every running back, everyone's had their moments. And, it all goes back to coaching. So I don't know if they will make a change, but I guess I will say this, so like try and lighten the mood up a little bit, is like perspective. Like, so I was depressing on Christmas because I thought I wanted us to be contenders so bad this year.
Yeah.
And so that Ravens game was like a deep reality to me. Like, man, like, okay, we're not. But then you take a step back and you're like, okay, we're second year of being, trying to compete, like post tanking. This is D'Amico Ryan's second year. This is CJ Stroud's second year. If you keep Bobby, it's still only his second year. So when you kind of put those things into perspective, and we still won back-to-back championships, and we're still going to host a home playoff game, and who knows? Like so it all boils down to expectations, really, when you think about it. And I'm guilty, and I feel like most of us were leading. And I was on y'all's show. We were all doing it. We couldn't help but like after what we saw last year. And that's the other part of it too, is last year, the way we won was offense was carrying the defense. And then now it's defense is carrying the offense. So, but like from what we saw last year, we're like, okay, offense is legit. We were missing our whole O-line. We're going to get them back. They're going to be 1,000 times better. Defense will be better. It's our second year. We're going to go undefeated. And then, things aren't quite going.
Well, I don't remember that exactly.
But like, when you get my point, is like we were all hyped up. Like,
we definitely were.
We put too high of expectations on this team, and that's fine. Like, we're just excited fans. We haven't had a winner in a while. So like when you take that into the whole picture, okay, maybe last year we weren't quite as good as what we thought. And then maybe we're expecting too much and we're still trending the right direction. Like when I see bigger picture, I feel better about it. But in the moment, it still sucks.
Yeah, like this Christmas game was like a punch to the gut. I'm like, ooh, I thought, hey, we're not that far off, but that game, Jesus, man, it was a very stark reminder. We got a ways to go. But like Garrett said, man, this is year 2 of the rebuild. We got a ways to go.
Yeah, but it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, going into Baltimore, which we know like it's a contender definitely. Whether or not they're finally going to get over the hump is a different question. You got Lamar with 2 MVPs and you got Derrick Henry over there, but I can still see them choking it. You know, uh, in any case, we've seen it year in and year out. But going into that game, especially after the way we lost in the playoffs last year, right? And it wasn't like the most competitive game in the playoffs, but going into half, it was like, pretty neck and neck.
Yeah, it was
And,
10-10.
Yeah, and then they kind of just ran away with it. Kind of like you said, last year was the offense carrying the defense. The defense kind of just ran out of gas. This time around, going into this game, I knew we were going to lose on the predictions that I said. I think I said we were going to lose by like maybe 2 possessions. Because with the injuries and everything, I didn't feel like we had enough on offense or defense to like compete and contain them. But it was just like it looked like a high school team out there, man. And I know the injuries.
Generous. I'm going to go with a middle school B team.
I know the injuries are there. I know everybody's on their second year type thing, but I mean, you're looking at the O line, dude. It's one of the highest paid O lines in the league. Like, I don't see any excuse for them to be performing as poorly as they have been. CJ, yes, it's been a down year for sure. He still have good games, but with how bad the season started, I say how bad, it was still a winning season, but with how much he struggled at first, I feel like, Rios has mentioned it like in plenty of shows, like his inner clock is messed up. He's not making the right decisions, which last year it looked like he was making the right call, like, 8 times out of 10. Now he's like just rushing into things, throwing the ball, throwing picks unnecessarily, right? And it's just like that game against Baltimore is just like more than a punch to the gut, dude. That felt like a beating, like an ass whooping. Like on Christmas Day, no less. Like I took like a 3-hour shower just to get like the shame washed off of me. But it was how bad. It was just so bad, and it's just like, yes, we won the division or whatever, but
the season's not over, bro. What are we doing here?
It just feels to me like it is, man.
Because
what happens, right? We beat the Titans or whatever. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. I refuse to get swept by the Tennessee Titans. Refuse.
They're probably going to be wearing the Oiler uniforms again too. Do we know that or not?
They haven't confirmed it yet, but I'm pretty sure they're going to wear them on purpose.
It's the only thing they can. Yeah.
I will say in the Ravens game, like, I don't know if this is the case or not, but you wonder too, like how much of the game plan was just like Manila, like, with the chances of us playing them again. So like that's something you can hang on to in the back of your head.
Yeah. That was the one thing that I was like, maybe this is like, we're playing chess, they're playing checkers type thing.
They probably treated it like a preseason game almost, just because, like you guys mentioned, we might see them again in the playoffs. But also, honestly, winning or losing the game didn't make a big difference as far as standings or playoff seeding. We're pretty much locked into that 4 seed, unless some miraculous, turn of events they end up at the 3. But they're probably like, we're going to be the 4 seed. We get to host a playoff game. Let's just dial back the playbook, try to get out of here healthy.
Well, the loss actually helps us. I mean, like it pretty much, gave Baltimore the, position to be the 3 seed as opposed to playing us in the playoffs. I mean, if you look at it that way. But I did notice too, like I had never seen a D'Amico, like just like that was the worst game I've seen by CJ Stroud. That was the worst run defense performance I've seen by a D'Amico Ryans led team. And, the way he teaches his D line, it's like an attack style where you just rush straight up field and then you let your linebackers figure out the rest. And you could tell that the Ravens knew that and game planned against it, and we didn't adjust. So they were running like a lot of like whams and traps where the tight end would come out and kick out the tackle. So the tackle would run straight up the field, and then the tight end would come and clean them out. And then, I mean, the first whole half of the game, Henry wasn't getting touched until 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. Like it didn't matter who was back there, much less Derrick Henry. So that was really like what was crazy to me. But like when I saw that, I was like, maybe he's just going, Manila game plan, and we won't know if we play them again. Which I think if we were to play them again at this point, it would be in the AFC Championship. I hope they don't mess it up to where they play us in the first round. But I mean, I think we'll all feel better. Like, but at the very least, we know like we've lowered our expectations, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, getting beat up like that, it'll do it to you.
See, to
But
me,
you
it
just
feels
set
like
yourself up for less hurt, you know.
to me, it feels like it has lowered my expectations so much that I'm just like writing the season off at this point.
I'm not at that point. I think they could more than likely they probably played the Steelers, who are just they figured out Russell Wilson pretty quickly in that Steelers offense. If you take away the deep shot, he just doesn't have the same zip on the ball. He's struggled with his accuracy, and that should be the one team I feel confident they can beat in the playoffs. But after that, yeah, confidence nosedives.
Yeah, no. After that is ridiculous, man.
Because I'd rather
Yeah, I
face the
think
Steelers than that Chargers defense of Justin Herbert. Because man, that guy's been playing phenomenal this season.
I agree, but I'm confident we can win against either one of those teams. Like not like a blowout, but like I have a chance to win is what I mean. And like you said, I would prefer to play the Steelers, but if we played the Chargers, I wouldn't be mad either. You're right about Justin Herbert; he's been playing great. I think the way he's been playing is kind of similar to Josh Allen in the sense that they've kind of dumbed it down for him and like made it where they don't make a lot of mistakes. It's conservative run game. They're not asking them to do all this stuff. So I think he's done good in that regard. But yeah, the Steelers would be a better matchup in my opinion. I think we can beat either one, and then we beat them. We go back to Kansas City, and this is me being Mr. Optimistic. Shout out Mr. Optimistic in the chat. We just played in Arrowhead, less than a month ago. If we play there again in the playoffs, and that was a playoff atmosphere in cold weather, and we hung in there. So. Yeah. At this point, the thing is like all these games we've played, we've had a lot of injuries, but who knows? I mean, so I'm confident we can win that first game, and then we'll see what we can do in Kansas City if we can win that first game.
Yeah, if we can win that first game, I feel like that would give me a little bit more life. I still don't think we're making it all the way, regardless. Like even when the team plays great with all the injuries, like there's not really a lot of you can expect from them. Yeah. But winning that first game, that at home, another playoff game on back-to-back years. Like, I mean, as a Texans fan, for the last 10 years or so, like that's what you in here for. Like the Super Bowl has never really been in my mind, except like that when we were 24-0 against the Chiefs that one year.
Why did you bring that
up? Dude, I was talking so much shit. That day, and then
I was about to buy my Super Bowl ticket. Who did the Chiefs play in the AFC Championship? Was it Titans?
It was the Titans.
Was it the Titans?
We would have played the Titans at home. I was like, oh, we're gonna play the Titans at home in the AFC Championship. Like, I'm about to buy my Super Bowl ticket, dude.
I had made plans to dip into my savings, buy some AFC Championship game tickets. No.
But besides that
Thank you, Bill O'Brien, you bastard.
Oh, that bastard. Besides that one year, like as a Texans fan, that's never really been like.
Well, no.
The be-all, end-all for me, at least. For me.
2011, right? 2012, like those teams, they had a Super Bowl caliber defense. It's just
the offense wasn't there, and the injuries.
2011, 2012, it fell apart.
Or if Jacoby Jones didn't muff that punt in Baltimore.
We over here just masochists, all of us.
R.I.P. Jacoby Jones. But you're right. So that's good. Like, so your expectations going into the year weren't as high as mine. So you shouldn't be feeling worse than me right now. You should be like, this is what I expected.
I was expecting the AFC Championship game, and now I'm,
but it
having to settle for a wild card.
It just sucks because the other thing is, right? I love Houston sports, and my Astros suck, right? So I was putting like more eggs on the Texans to be good. And then they let me down. Thankfully, my Rockets are like hanging in there.
Yeah,
by a thread.
By a thread, but they're still playing well, and they might make a big trade. We'll see. But the Texans were like, okay, the Astros, they're taking another off year. They're figuring out their free agents and stuff. Let me move on to the Texans.
I would just urge you to try and wait until the season's over to like start feeling that way. I mean, because. Right now, I think we all agree if we win a playoff game and go into Kansas City and lose, but like in a somewhat competitive game, we'll all be happy, right?
I can live with that.
I hate losing.
I think I want to be embarrassed.
Like it'll still suck, but I mean it's the back-to-back, champ. Yeah. It's Mahomes. It's Andy Reid.
They're trying to 3-peat. We'll lose to them in a competitive game. I can live with that.
I can't believe how shit they've been, and they still. What are they? 15-1. What is it?
And like what gives me hope too is playoffs. Like D'Amico Ryans can game plan with the best of them as far as a defense. Like we saw what he did against Josh Allen. We saw what he did against Jared Goff. Lamar played great against us, but he didn't really have to do much because the running game was there. Like he didn't have to do anything. I don't even think his stats were that crazy, like attempts and yards wise. But
he had like less than 15 pass attempts. He didn't have to throw the ball that much, but every pass.
Yeah, and so now we get Aziz back. Like we lost Petrie, which was massive, and then Jimmy. So to me, that was a big injury because both those guys had played that star role where the safety came down into the box and was essentially the third linebacker. But I like D'Amico to me has shown enough creativity on defense, like scheming wise, and now he'll have enough weapons in the playoffs to come up with some good game plans that I think we're live in any game defensively. It's just the offense that we need to get rolling.
Because the defense, like we said, they've carried a lot of the offense this year. If you look at that Lions game, like the defense did everything that they possibly could have done. You know, like there's not much criticism you can throw their way. It's literally the offense. Same with that Packers game. Like if the offense would have been just a little bit more, less prone to mistakes, turnovers and stuff like that, we're winning those games. We're talking about a completely different team. And
but speaking of offense, I want to get y'all's thoughts. What are y'all's thoughts on Deontay Johnson?
I was going to say that. So that's the other nugget to hold out for hope is like, let's just hope he fucking crushes it. I think he's good. Like, I mean, I get the same vibes as like us getting him as it was with Diggs. Like D'Amico today literally said the same stuff he said all offseason about Diggs when they asked him about, character issues or, he's a journeyman. And he's like, I told him, like, you come here, it's a clean slate. Like, we're starting clean. Like, I don't care about what happened in the past. And that's basically the same stuff he said about Diggs. And we saw how that worked out. Yeah. Some of us may have had our questions about whether it'd work. And it turned out that it couldn't have happened better. So this time around, it's like a desperate situation where we needed somebody and he was the best option. But we also, we wouldn't take players on like this if we weren't, stable enough to do so.
Correct.
And, before I looked into it, my, uneducated thought was, it's, going to be risky. But then you look further into it, it's not too dissimilar from Stephon Diggs as far as Deontay Johnson's career path. Diggs kind of wanted his way out of Minnesota and kind of got his way out of there. And then the same thing in Buffalo, like you kind of force your way out. And that's basically what Deontay did. But then he got traded to a dumpster fire in Carolina. And they're terrible and, not doing good. Bryce gets benched. They're tanking. So they trade him. So that's not really his fault that time. And then he gets traded to Baltimore. But the thing was, we all assumed it was going to be like an awesome, marriage there. But they had him as like their fourth receiver. And he's like, bro, I'm like a number two.
He's not
getting. So, I mean, it didn't really have to do with like being a bad, locker room guy. It was just a matter of like, I want to go play. And maybe that's not the best way to do it, but him not suiting up for the game worked. He got his way out and he's on the Texans. And supposedly, like the Texans, from hearing some of the interviews today, this is where one of the teams he wanted to play for all along. And him and CJ have been friends and they've been texting all year, he said. So, I mean, this could be a great thing.
Yeah, like I've been looking at some of the tape, and his play style is very similar to the same role that Stephon Diggs and Tank Gill were playing. I think he can line him up on the outside. You can also line him up in the slot, and he's able to create that separation. My only concern with him is the hands. He has a lot of drops. I think I want to say it was either last year or the year before. He led the league in drops. Like he drops a lot of passes. I mean, hopefully they can kind of clean that up in the few weeks that they have him as far as this week and the wild card. But I have holding my reservations. I'm going to be I'm going to be a little optimistic. I think he comes here and he's going to have a bigger role because just out of necessity, we have nobody else outside of Nico. And Nico doesn't look 100% still, which sucks. Yeah. I think if he's 100%, this offense looks a little bit different, but I don't think he's all the way 100%. And I don't think CJ is. I can't remember who it was that posted a picture of CJ's shoulder in an interview. And it looked kind of similar to Trevor Lawrence's shoulder, like the clavicle sticking out a little bit. So that would explain a lot of the bad throws, honestly.
The big guy got deported.
Yeah.
We replaced him.
I would hope some of those throws are from the injury, man.
But that would make a lot of sense. I mean, I get the internal clock sped up a little bit, but I think if his shoulder's not all the way there, that's I think the perfect example was that one throw that he missed to a wide open Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
When he was lined up in the back.
If you watch the all 22, like that, it was an easy throw, but like Laramie Tunsil was like stepping on his foot. Like he should still make that throw, but I mean, it still wasn't the best pocket. But like Deontay though, like to your point, like in my opinion, he's like a legit 1-for-1 replacement for Stephon Diggs. So you got your big outside receiver and Nico, who's like the X, and then typically your other outside receiver, which is what Tank played, as your Z. And the Z can kind of play, slot and outside. They normally do about 70% of their snaps outside, 30% slot, typically when it's like 3-by-1 formations. And that's what Tank Dell's snap split was. Deontay was even higher. Like for his career, he's almost like 80% outside, 20% inside. And he's always struck me as like watching his film, and then just even recently watching his workout video he posted. He is a good short game route runner too, and I feel like that's something we missed quite a bit with slant routes, especially against cover 2. We're getting all these too high shells forcing us to run, and we can't run. Hitting some quick game slants to him. Worst case, get 5 yards. He could also take it to the house. So in this game, I want to see him get like 10 plus targets, just feed him the basics, just give him hand signals. Hey, run this route, run that route.
So that's the thing, right? So I hope, I think he's a good fit, all things considered. I just hope that they utilize him well. Right now, it's only out of necessity, right? Because like all the wide receivers are out besides Nico. But even when the season started and we had Nico and Diggs and Dell all healthy, it felt like it was the Nico. It was the Nico show. Diggs would get in there in the mix a little bit, and Dell was completely left out this time around because of all the injuries. I'm hoping, like you said, like he gets feed the rock quite a bit, and Nico can still be that X factor where like if you need if see what the defense is giving you, and if Nico's there for 40 yards, throw that thing, right? But it's gonna have to come to it comes down to the play calling, the pocket presence, and even if the pocket is present to begin with,
protection.
Hopefully.
What is it? I haven't seen it all year.
I'm hoping they should use this game because we know that they're not gonna that the starters are probably not gonna play the whole game. Yeah, I'm just hoping they use this as like
either because think about it, they're thinking about their draft position.
Yeah, I would also love a little bit more creativity when it comes to the play calling on offense.
Well, you don't like all the wide receiver screens? Get out
for negative yards. Oh man, they're my favorites.
Absolutely.
You bring up a good point, Poppy. I feel like looking back on that KC game now, and it's cliche, but it's basically how the defense game plans you. But knowing KC and knowing Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, they probably made a concerted effort to take Nico Collins out of the game. And that's what freed up Tank. So I thought maybe it was just us making a concerted effort, Slowick on offense to scheme to get him the ball, but it could have just been like, that's what the defense was giving us. So now with Tank out and now you insert Deontay Johnson, if a team wants to take away Nico, now it's Deontay, or if Deontay shows some flashes, now you got to play Nico straight up and he can go back to his, monster games too. So just the talent alone, but your point and concern is a valid one, and pretty much most fans are concerned about it. Yeah, we got this piece, but like, are we going to utilize him? Right. Can we utilize him?
Yeah. He's just going to be a blocker out there.
Block for the screens.
But you know what? It's something too. I'm kind of thinking through this right now with y'all, but like Tank, maybe he wasn't as versatile on some of these like reverses, which I thought he was good, but we didn't do enough. Like we think about in this offense, like the Deebo Samuel role. Maybe Deontay, I don't really know if he does or not, but maybe he's able to handle more of that stuff,
No, he's like a slimmer build, kind of like Tank. He's just a little bit taller, but yeah, I wouldn't put him in that Deebo role because we don't want to lose another receiver. Because
at this point we can't afford it. You might as well.
If you go into wild card weekend with either Robert Woods or John Mechie as wide receiver 2, just
yeah.
Not to say they're bad players. They're just not consistent enough, right?
They are not wide receiver 2s on a playoff caliber team.
No,
they have not.
I would love for them to be. Joe Mechie's my guy. Robert Woods my guy. It's just.
I mean, Rebels is a great blocker, but if he's your number 2 receiver, yeah, that's just gonna mean triple team on Nico.
Then again, dude, I used to say the same thing about Nico. Like I didn't believe in him to be wide receiver 1, and he completely proved me wrong.
Well, I mean, it takes having the right quarterback.
True.
Davis Mills is throwing at his feet, even though he's 6 and throwing a 10 feet over, Brandon Cook's head, who's like 5'10". Like,
hey, I thought we were done with Davis Mills catching strays.
I thought so too, but last weekend
he's gonna get us the dub this weekend, bro.
Like the Mills Mafia came out in full force.
The Mills Mafia.
I'm like, why are we bringing this Davis Mills up in the year of our Lord 2024? Why? I thought those days were done, but it's not.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I've thought about too. Is like, you hear after CJ his presser after Baltimore, and he like starts to like slip up, and like they asked, I think it was Big Sarge asked him. He asked him, what's the difference between your year last year and this year? Like, why is it not as good? And he started to say, I've been banged up this year. And he's like, no, that's a terrible excuse. That's not why. But anyway, so like if he's been banged up, like even before that game, and this Baltimore game was meaningless, and we actually wanted them to beat us, and we didn't want to show them a lot, then why the hell did we put him out there, to get beat up again? That was kind of like what I was thinking. But then you think about it, I'm thinking from D'Amico's perspective, CJ has been playing bad this year. He probably didn't want, for one, CJ probably needed the reps to get better. Like they want to see us improve. But two, he probably didn't want to see Mills go in there and do good and then get people all worked up about a controversy, which would be dumb. But that shit would happen. So maybe that played a part of it too. Like he didn't want to get all that shit going and ruin his confidence. And now he starts hearing outside noise and doubting himself. I mean, that may or may not be part of the psyche, but.
Well, in all fairness, I don't think Davis Mills would have lit up that Baltimore defense. But who knows? But
or not even lit up, but like played better. Like if he just played margin, like the people would be all, oh, he made that throw. He, there would be some of.
Oh yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I shouldn't say light him up, but just like done decent, I guess.
And like a lot of it's just mental, right? Like if you once you get in your own head, like. It's hard to get out of it. It's hard to get out of it. You kind
of see it with it. He doesn't have the same confidence he had last year. Like last year when you watch him play, like he had all the confidence in the world. This year is kind of like, I hope I don't mess up. Like,
and those press conferences, he has slipped up in the past too. I remember like maybe week 5 or 6, they asked him like, what's the game plan? Why does the offense continue to not perform? And he said something along the lines like, we all have to do our job. Like we have a job to do. We all have to do our job. The O-line has to do their job. And he completely backtracked immediately. He's like, nah, well, not just the O-line, but everybody needs to do their job. Yeah. So it's one of those things like, bro, tell me how you really feel, brother.
But he does by doing that, though. Like we know.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. But I'm pretty sure the O-line knows at this point.
But y'all pointed it out earlier. I mean, he's in his own head, like because it's, I'm like, imagine, like, look at how we feel, like how frustrated we are. Could you imagine being him going from rookie of the year to this? Like, yeah, your team's winning, but you haven't been contributing as much and your offense is struggling. So he's probably frustrated as hell with himself and the offense as a whole.
I'm sure. And I hope it's like a Joe Burrow situation, right? Where like he just has a really down year, like their team is not performing. And then, next year he comes out and he throws for 50 touchdowns and it just goes crazy, regardless. But
yeah,
y'all pulled out the O-line. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rios.
No, I think some of the outside noise kind of get into them too. But hearing all the the word sophomore slump, regression, I think some of that's kind of affecting his confidence as well. It's probably
to the point where even winning the division didn't even feel like a great accomplishment, right? Because I'm pretty sure his own expectations are higher than what they've
That's
been
what
doing.
We want. That's good.
Yeah, but we need to build the team. Like the team needs to step it up too. Shit.
But I think y'all point too about why he's going through a lot is the O-line. I mean, could you blame him too though? I mean, like he's been pressured like early and often all the time, and then like not all pressures are created equal too. Like when he gets pressured, they're in like 0 seconds. Like they're like untouched rushers like all the time.
Yeah, I think he leads in free rushers hitting him like by a wide margin. I think they put up the graphic on the Netflix game. I'm like I knew he was getting hit a lot, but like it was alarming seeing how many times he gets hit by free rushers.
Dude, and if you looked at that, I believe it was a Packers game. They were hiding their blitzes and everything, and like most of the time they were just sending 4 guys, and within a fraction of a second they were already in his face.
That started with Minnesota, so that's been my big thing. Is like
the Minnesota game was like the reality check that we didn't know was
they
a reality
gave the blueprint.
Check.
So like people talk about a Stroud sophomore slump. Yes, he struggled, and you could say he's in a sophomore slump. But Bobby Slowick is the true sophomore slump. It's his sophomore year as a play caller, and we haven't had the answers. Like the Vikings gave the blueprint on how to stop. Well, first it started with the Colts week 1.
The Colts were
stunts. The defensive stunts, simple like loops in games. And ever since, we had that game, everyone's ran it the rest of the year, and we have not stopped it all year. And then the next layer to that, to make it even worse, was the Minnesota game, like you just referred to, Poppy, was the simulated pressures where you mug the line with 6-7 guys, drop them all back, and then you only rush 4, but the line freaks out and they can't get their assignment done because our pass protection scheme is like ridiculous and it's like overcomplicated. Rather than just block the freaking guy in front of you or the area in front of you.
That guy, just get your hands on him. That's it.
It's all this confusing shit, and guys are overthinking. It's not even necessarily a talent thing. Most of the time, it's more mental. But anyways, the blueprint was given there, and that same shit has been happening all year. And then I think it might have been that game, or then even in the Packers game, another part of it too is an adjustment was made to Slowick and his scheme is these condensed formations, which are good and bad, but when you condense the formations repeatedly, you bring in extra defenders into the box. You bring in safeties and corners. And that's another thing that's killed us too is the nickel blitz or the safety blitz. We haven't blocked that once all year. So you see it on tape. Like, we're going to run this shit until they block it. And they won't.
They won't. That's
week 18. We have yet to block one.
And it's so frustrating. And like with that specifically too, like what I want to know is, do we have hot routes? Like there'll be a guy over Dalton Schultz and his guy will blitz and then Schultz will run a 20-yard route, but like in most offenses, when a guy right in front of you blitzes, you just turn around and you should get the ball. And in this situation, if that happened, he would catch it and he would have 20 yards to run. There'd be no one around him. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, that's the one that we'll put
up Sarah.
Yeah, she's the one that had the picture of CJ's shoulder. Like you can see, like it looks similar to Trevor Lawrence's, and it's a little concerning, especially going into a team like the Titans. Like they like to blitz a lot, and they have some pretty good defensive tackles on that roster. I'm a little concerned for them. So hopefully we can, get out of that game a little, injury free and, focus on wild card weekend.
That's a tough decision. You got, you want CJ to get some confidence going into the game to get on track for the playoff. Yeah. But you have the worst interior offensive line against one of the best interior offensive lines, and you're going to get his ass beat up again.
Yeah, especially going against a guy like T'Vondre Sweat. Yeah.
Yep. Jeffrey
one of those things like, what do you do at that point? You're right, but my whole point was, I hope he can just look past it, and not let this sophomore slump like.
No, I think you're probably referring to Joe Burrow last season, where he struggled a little bit with the injuries and
and everything. It was just like a losing season, and then you could see that even this year when like they're still losing, but like it's not on him. Like he's playing out of his mind, right? He's out of there. He's out of there mentally. I feel like he's locked in.
Yeah, the Bengals had like
when he struggled that year too was the same. It was O-line. I mean, you're having to, but it's like it's funny too though. Like we've watched the progression all year. Whereas if someone just like turns on the game against Baltimore, like, oh, this guy sucks. Like, yeah, but you didn't see all the shit he's gone through, and that's why he's playing that way. He's been pressured all year. Like, yeah, if you look at it now, or even in the game too, like there's little microcosms like. He got pressured again in the Baltimore game, but then when he didn't get pressured, he acted like he got pressured. Well, it's like, well, shit, like you can't blame the guy. I mean, how's he supposed to know when they're going to block and not block?
Like he's shell shocked almost. Like
it's exactly what it is. And y'all said his internal clock sped up, so he's not going through his reads, or or he's just flushing the pocket right away. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna take matters in my own hands and just get out of the pocket altogether.
You know what it reminds me of? David Carr.
Oh God!
Like all those hits. Like, dude,
let's not hope it's too much like that. But
I hope they can fix it in this offseason. Address it early on, because with David Carr, it was just accumulation year after year after year of getting hit.
I agree with Ted, man. So I mean, a quick game is the answer. You just gotta hit some quick game. Yeah, like if you look at like college offenses. Like when a smaller school plays a bigger school, the biggest discrepancy is the down lineman. So like you usually have undersized O-line versus a big D-line. And that's why all these schools run spread offenses. is because they're undermanned, and the way to negate that is with the spread offense. Spread it out and quick game, and you basically eliminate the pass rush. I mean, you look at the Dolphins, Tua never gets sacked because they throw fucking screens or they throw quick game all game. And so that's been another gripe of mine with Bobby Slowick is like, I understand you have this scheme that you want to work a certain way, but our personnel is not working. You need to adapt and adjust. But like, he's like, this is the playbook no matter what. But it's like, that's the frustrating thing.
They're going to no huddle the whole game. They're going to start passing out by halftime.
Well, Uncle Ted's right, dude. Like, and we've all said it too. Like, it's no secret that every time CJ Stroud does good, it's like in a 2-minute situation, even back to last year. Before the half and at the end of games, all of his best moments are no huddle, hurry up. There's not all this bullshit where you're telling me
no thinking aloud. Just fill the game.
Not even thinking like, hey, let me tell you this play that's 20 words. Then you hear it. Then you say it. And now get up to the line of scrimmage with 5 seconds left. Oh, yeah, and diagnose this blitz that you can't even call. The O-line will call it out. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, perfect example is the game last year against Tampa Bay. Like, that wasn't how the offense should be. Spread it out, up-tempo. Don't give the defense time to set, be able to, have all these simulated blitzes. But no, we do the opposite. Condensed formations, 7-step drops where the O-line can't defend for more than 2 seconds. Like, it's infuriating to watch as a fan.
And then I will say so. Like, it doesn't help it.
I've been saying like something we need to do is pass to open the run, and he's been doing it, and he's been saying it in his press conferences. Like ever since Jacksonville's when he first started doing it, we've come out early in the game, quick game, spread out, tempo, passing the ball, methodically driving down the field, and then the run game opened up after because of that. And he's like said it multiple times, and we've done it multiple games. So I think he has been adjusting some. That's what I'm hoping for going forward.
Yeah, I mean, if they can, again, depending who they play, in the wild card, they're going to have to adjust that offense because you can't go out there with the same playbook, 7-step drops, these wide receiver screens that everyone has already figured out at this point.
Yeah, everybody already knows. Like, you already know. Like, every time they throw a screen, it's like, oh, we're just giving up on this drive. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, if you see Robert Woods lined up next to Nico, you already know at that point it's going to be a screen. Yeah.
Well, his hands are tied a little bit. I don't know if y'all saw the Wade Smith video, the former Texans lineman. And he made good points that I had said, too. Like, those screens, as frustrating as they were, believe it or not, they worked a lot earlier in the year. But they're also a substitute for the run game, which has been non-existent lately. So that's part of it, too. And, some were just bad designs, and some were just miscues, like a bad throw or the receiver took a bad step or a bad block. But I guess my concern with that was like, all right, after like the third or fourth time you run a wide receiver screen, it doesn't work. Like adjust in game,
Let's switch it up.
And I think somebody said it earlier. I'm trying to look for the comments. Yeah, right here. Like the running style for Joe Mixon kind of changed like halfway through the season. We had those like scary injuries or whatever, where we thought like they were worse than they were. But honestly, Joe Mixon could be another one that, maybe in his own head, he doesn't want to get injured. He's having he was having like a career year or whatever. And it's just like everything changed after that. And it just, once the run is non-existent, kind of like it was last year, like it makes defenses way more, makes their job a lot easier.
Oh yeah,
we get in third and long, we get predictable, and then we're forced to run these 2-man routes with all the people in 2 tight end max protect and only 2-man routes, and then CJ's forced to try and convert a 3rd and 15, so he's just making decisions he shouldn't make when we could just be hitting checkdowns.
It's just not a recipe for success.
Exactly.
But I think with Mixon, his numbers being down, one, it's a good point. That second hip drop tackle, he's looked a little bit different. But also, when they changed the offensive lineman personnel, you got your best pass blockers out there, but not
the run blocking. Completely went out the window.
They kind of had to make that sacrifice because it's like at the end of the day, what do you want more? Your running back to have success or your quarterback to be upright?
That's a great point. Maybe we should just like sub in like rushing O lineman and like pass block O lineman. Sub in Kenyon Green for a run play.
Yeah, don't put Kenyon Green out there in passing situations, please. And then involve things wholly. Don't do
that. So going into the Tennessee game, what are your score predictions going into it?
I mean, I can never pick against us. I don't have any expectations for this game. Could give two shits about it. Like, it'd be nice to beat the Titans because I hate them and they beat us once already.
Dude,
it'd be nice.
Fuck the Titans.
Yeah, fuck the Titans. It'd be nice to not get swept by them, and then they're probably going to wear our Oiler uniforms, so beat them for that. I suspect it'll be like a preseason game where the starters will play 1 to 2 quarters. Hopefully, we get our mojo back, mostly on offense, where we have some scoring drives. But like you mentioned earlier, Poppy, they're probably trying to lose themselves for the draft position. I'll say 24-17 Texans. And the one thing I want to see is feed Deontay Johnson. I want like 10 plus targets.
Okay. What about you, Rios?
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. It's probably going to be like a preseason game for both teams. Like Titans, they don't want to ruin their draft position. They want to stay in the top 3 because they are going to be drafting a quarterback.
Cam Ward, baby.
Levis is the guy, which I said last year, but what do I know? Not like I have to have an entire lifetime of seeing mediocre quarterbacks. I can spot them a mile away. No, but I think Houston, they probably played the starters the first half just to get some mojo going into wildcard weekend. Get some reps in for Deontay Johnson, get him acclimated, get him up to speed in this offense. But it's not going to be a very exciting game to watch. Yeah. It's probably going to be like, I'm going to pick the Texans. I say Texans 18, Titans 9.
That sounds very likely.
Yeah, see, I'm a little bit more optimistic in how the game is going to play out. I feel like most of the scoring is going to come down in the second half. I'm going to say like a good 24-27, 1 possession game. It's kind of scrappy. Like, hopefully the first half they can use Deontay Johnson a little bit, like get him acclimated with the offense. Hopefully, like I said, get a little bit more creative, try some new things. This is a game that really doesn't mean much. Fuck the Titans regardless.
All day, every day.
Yeah, and then like on the second half, with the backups or whatever, just fucking start throwing that bitch, bro. Throw that shit and see where it lands, bro. Fuck it. At least give me something to be excited for. After that Christmas game, I feel like you guys owe me a little bit.
Another point too that I was on with VT earlier, and I think he brought this point up, was I think Callahan, the head coach for the Titans, was saying it, but like this is more of like a tryout game for them, like for next year. Not tryout, but like an evaluation game to see what they have for next year. So they're going to be trying all kind of shit, not like necessarily to win, but like to put guys in certain situations. So I thought that was a really good point too. So like that could go against them winning wise, but they're trying to evaluate players.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few trick plays from both sides, just because this game really means nothing.
Literally, fuck it. Like, let's just go out there and have fun, guys.
Yeah, put some bullshit out there for the people scouting us in the playoffs. Like, do some wild shit and then throw them a smoke screen and then run your ordinary shit the next week.
Yeah. Please don't get anybody injured.
Yeah,
don't get anybody injured, please. For the love of
God. That's the one thing.
For the love, if we can come out of that game with no injuries, I'll take that as a win.
I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're just about to end it here, guys. Hit us with your score predictions if you have any questions before we head out. Any last comments from you guys, Rios?
Please, I am begging for 2 things. 1, for Jahmyr Gibbs to score 2 more touchdowns because I am within 9 points.
No, that's not happening. I'm telling you, that's not happening.
Hey, I needed 36. It's down to 9. So I got time. But that also for the Texans, please. The name of all things holy. Don't embarrass me a wildcard weekend. That's all I ask.
Damn, Lions are up 40-28. And Dan Campbell was a madman. He really played their starters the whole game.
Well, they're playing for the 1 seed.
He doesn't.
No, this game is meaningless for him.
He doesn't give a damn.
Well, yeah,
he's a madman. No, this game is meaningless for him. Like, they have to beat the Vikings next week regardless to get.
Yeah.
I guess they do. Is it for the 1 seed, right? The winner gets the 1 seed.
Yeah, because both teams will have the same record going into next week, and winner takes all basically for the division and for the 1 seed.
What's y'all Super Bowl prediction? Who's making it?
Texans, obviously. No, we're not.
Oh, be quiet.
No, I think this is the year that Detroit finally makes it to the Super Bowl. Because there isn't a team that in the NFC that I can see beating the Detroit Lions, especially with the way they're playing.
The only team that can beat the Detroit is Detroit.
Yeah.
I feel like if
Well,
they don't make it, it's gonna be down to their own.
Like last year, they should have beat the 49ers. Just take the damn points, kick the field goals, man. You go to the Super Bowl if you do that. And you probably beat the Chiefs.
And you probably win that game. Yeah, you probably beat the Chiefs in that game.
Well, the thing about the Lions right now is they are like missing like 6, 7, 8 starters on defense.
Yeah.
And I mean, their offense has been good enough to
They're
mask
still
it for
putting
the
up
time
40
being.
points on people, though. So
Yeah, but I don't think that – I think that will affect them. I don't know who would beat them out for the Super Bowl. Eagles or Packers is who I would say would make it from there. And then, the Chiefs are hard to go against, but I'll say the Ravens, man. I think Lamar might have his first breakthrough finally, or finally break through. I'll say Ravens over. Eagles.
Ooh, okay.
A bird bowl.
I got the Lions, and then in the AFC, I got Buffalo making it.
Ooh.
And I got Detroit beating Buffalo.
Man.
You got Detroit beating Buffalo?
I got Detroit beating Buffalo.
Dude, I don't know what I would love to see more. Either Eagles, Ravens, or Lions, Bills. Those are pretty good ones.
Those are good.
What I want to see, though, is the Chiefs going for the three-peat and losing. So I'm hoping for a Chiefs-Lions Super Bowl, and I hope the Lions just shit all over them.
Oh, man.
All of America would be happy with that.
Yeah.
I hope the Lions put a 45 on Mahomes' head and Kelsey retires.
Hey, my brother-in-law is he's from Detroit. He's a big Lions fan. So if they win,
mine too.
I'm sure he'd be over the moon. I never heard the end of it, but you know what? They beat the Chiefs. I can live with it.
They deserve it, dude. Detroit's been in sports hell for forever.
Dude, the Texans beating the Chiefs in any playoff scenario, I don't think my liver could handle that.
No,
it could happen. It could happen.
It could happen. It could happen.
Yeah. If it does, I'm putting a second mortgage on the house to go to the AFC Championship game.
We got to get Poppy a little more positive. We'll get you out of this rut, man. We'll make it out.
If we can win that first playoff game, then we're talking. Then we're talking.
We will, man. Y'all saw that video of that guy that said if we lose, he's going to join the Navy?
I did.
Fuck.
He said if the Texans lose their first playoff game, we'll join the Navy.
That's why I hope we go all the way so that boy doesn't go join the military. Don't do it, man.
Well, it depends. If he's a fuck up, maybe it's better for him. Maybe we should lose.
Yeah, fuck it. If you're making those kind of bets, you probably
should go. He probably does need the military. Because that is a wild bet to make. I'm like,
yeah.
Man,
shout out Uncle Ted. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone who's watching. 419 viewers. Love that. Love you guys. Thank you for coming on our show again. We love having you. We love talking some Texan shit. Whether we're winning or losing, mostly losing. It's always good to have you here.
Better than 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you know how hard it was to find positive things to say about the team.
Yeah. 2 years ago, even when we won, it's like I don't want Bill O'Brien to win.
That's where it's like it's tough to say like we don't want to become entitled. Like it's easier said than done. But like you just said, like and like that kind of logic too. I get it gets old, but like just think big picture perspective. As long as we continue to improve, we're on the right track. And, let's see how this year shakes out. But I think overall we're fine.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always a blast, man. I had a great time.
Thank you, brother. So everybody, please remember, like and subscribe. Follow us our YouTube channel, Just Fans Podcast. Follow my boy Houston Stressans on Twitter. He's always on there. Love the...
Yes,
every time we lose the game and you put like we stressing or whatever, I'm like, bro, I don't need to hear from you right now.
I'm beyond stressing, blackout drunk.
Dude, my blood pressure is like through the roof right now. I can't. I'm like, I got a bottle of tequila in my hand. You tell me if I'm stressing or not. But thank you for coming back. Thank you, Rios, for being here. Thank you, Carlos, for staying away. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
And hating on Carlos, man.
No, we love to hate him. We also hate him, but we love to hate him. He also married my sister, which I never approve of.
Oh wait, what? That's why you hate him.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. One of the many reasons we dislike him.
Shout out Sideline Sarah. Y'all should follow her too. She's been doing a great job.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome. I follow her on Twitter. She does a great job of putting stuff out there. No, I've known Carlos for over 20 years. That's why I hate him too.
I've known him for like 3-4 years, and I hate him. But shout out to everybody who tuned in. We'll be back next week. Happy New Year's to everybody. Hope your holidays are fantastic. Be safe out there. Don't drink too much.
Here's to a better 2025.
Dude, amen to that, man. But y'all take it easy, guys. Let me see if I can find this outro bullshit, and peace.
Southwest A-League, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans. If you ain't never been down here, but rule number one, you gon' respect us. Just fans in my speakers, new one drop, they bout to bless us. I might right through the SWAT, playing just